I pray and hope each and every one of you have had a blessed week this week. I know I have. This today was just a beautiful Friday. Just so beautiful, and I just want to go ahead and just jump right on into our live show this evening. And I want to start off with, who do you say I
Right on.
am? If you was to see Jesus and he came up to you and he asked you, who do you say I am? What would you say? And I looked up, and I know a lot of people would probably say, you are the Messiah. You are the Lamb of God. You are a holy servant. You are the I am. You are the good shepherd. You are the beloved Son of God. You are the bread of life. Those are just some of the things that people would say. And I know I would say, because I know, to me, Jesus is the light of this world. He is this world to me. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today, because so many people are so confused. They have a lot of people, that tells them they have a lot of people dictate who they are. And, they let people tell them who they are as a child of God. And we have to stop that. The only person that really knows you is you. God created you. Yes, you may have come from your mother and your father, but God has created you. Just like he created your mother, he created your father. No one knows you but you. So when people go around calling you out your name and telling you you're this and telling you you're that, you are really not what they say that you are. You are who you are, and that's a child of God. So I want each and every one of us tonight, going forward, to put in your heart, say that you are a child of God. Say, I belong to the Lord. I am a child of God. Stop allowing people to dictate who you are. Stop allowing people to change your name that your mother and your father has given you. If your name is Sally, then let them call you Sally. Let them call you by your name. Don't answer to anything else but the name that your parents have given you, okay? So I just wanted to touch bases with people tonight on that, because it is very important that we know who we are, and don't let anyone change who you are. You are a child of the Most High God. God created you to be who you are, and that's the best. I don't care who you are, where you come from. You are a child of God. You can do anything you want to do. Whatever you set your mind to doing it, you can do it. You understand? You can do it. And I just want to put out there, I do have a journal that is out now, and it's on Amazon, and it's God is Able. And I did this journal so that people can have more of a relationship with God, with our Father. We need to sit down. We need to spend time with God so that God can let you know who you are as a person, who you are as an individual. Have that walk with him. Have that talk with him. Have that relationship with him so that you can keep going further in life. Because the more you conversate with God, the more you give him your time, the more you will see blessings, the more he will order your steps. Just trust in everything that you do going forward. From here, today, I don't care what you did yesterday. I don't care what you did a year ago. I'm talking about tonight. Tell yourself tonight, when you go home, or if you're home right now, look in the mirror and say, I am a child of God. I am a child of God. God loves me. Jesus loves me. He is the light of this world. He created everything, and he created me. So he created me to be the best. Okay? All right. Now, I want to go ahead and get started into our show. Last week, I had a special guest, Miss Angelica Gee. She is my mentor with Avon, and I just want to recap. She stepped out on faith, bringing her business to a $1.5 million business, which I may add, never really wanted to do Avon when she first started. And look at her now. Just because she stepped out on faith, she has stepped out and trusted in God, and look at her now. I would like to introduce my mentor, Angelica Gee. Are you here with us?
I am. I am. Good evening, Marcella. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be
Hi.
back. Hi.
Yes,
Uh,
I know I took up a lot of time last week, and I wanted to make sure my introduction was kind of short because you're such an inspiring woman of God, and I love you so dearly. I'm so happy that, I got a chance to meet you as my mentor and, as a really good friend because your personality, your everything, I mean, you're so amazing. You're not just beautiful, but you're really amazing the way you are with people and taking your time out, even late at night, contacting me. If I had a question, I could call you whether it's early in the morning, late at night. I mean, I don't even think you ever sleep because when it comes to Avon, you are on it. You will call. You are a woman that goes after what she wants. And, that's inspiring to a lot of women because a lot of women do not have that confidence. They feel like they're going to fail. And that's one thing that I admire from you because, like you said, you went out on faith. And because you went out on faith and you trusted in God, He said, this is small as a mustard seed. And look at you now. Tell each and every one of us how you got started and what made you the woman that you are today with this Avon.
now, Marcella, we got a lot of years to cover here.
That's all right. The floor is open.
Well, it's been almost 24 years now in Avon, and my dad was the one who first, before I even started Avon, I told him that, well, actually, my parents were concerned about me when I was a young person because I was not doing, I don't think I was doing right in their eyes. I wasn't finishing school and getting that degree and that job. I wasn't doing all that. So they were concerned. So my dad asked me what I was going to do, and I told him, I just want to help people. And I didn't know what I wanted to help people with, but I just wanted to help people. And then my grandmother came a few years later. I was 25, and my grandmother said, "What are you going to do with your life? Are you just going to work in that store for the rest of your life?" And I was working in a retail store as a manager, and I really thought I had it made because I actually was making the most money I'd ever made in my life, which was $16,000 a year. And
wow.
And I was thinking that was it. That was my life. And I had my own apartment, and I had a car, and I was living on my own and having a good old time. And my grandmother said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life?" And she said, "Why don't you sell Avon?" And I told her she was absolutely crazy. I said, "I am not selling that old lady stuff." And I was 25 years old. You couldn't tell me nothing. But I told her no because I didn't. First of all, I didn't want to do any more sales. I had always done sales all my life, and then I didn't know anything about home-based businesses. So I told her she was crazy, and we left it at that. And then a few months later, she died.
Oh.
And me and her, we were close. We were buddy. So it hit me hard. And everything that she had ever told me in my life, I was realizing that she was right. So I remember it was in January 1994. I'm looking up to the sky, and I just said, let me try this Avon thing. And I started it. But I didn't take it seriously. And I tell people this story a lot because a lot of people say no to a home-based business opportunity. A lot of people, every day, you tell someone about your business and invite them to join, and they say no, and they might give you an excuse or a reason why. And I say, well, I was just like that. I said no, but here I am. I've been full-time Avon for, what, since 2005. What does that make that? 13 years?
Yeah, about
Yeah. 13 years. 13 years.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything. I built this from the ground. But I had a lot of help, and any time I got into a bind, I would look to God and really ask, what do I do? And I knew that I was doing it right when I knew that God was in me, God was working through me when things were going right, when everything was going right, and I was reaching the goals that I had set, and I was helping other representatives, and they were reaching goals, and everything was working right, but I had to do some consultation first to know the way to go with this. So I can't say that it was all me. I had some guidance from above. But so it's been 24 years, and I want to be the voice to people who are skeptical, who don't believe that you can make a living with a home-based business. You can, and every business has those top-tier consultants or representatives who are, and I'm not at the very top, but I'm in the middle somewhere, and I'm proud of it. So I tell people, we're like number 60, I think, in the top 100 teams in the country. So I'm real proud of us. I'm very proud of us, and we just ended another cycle, and we've had some representatives that have moved up in the business, and they're making very good money. And that's what I want. I want my people to come up and make and earn, and make a difference in their life. So that's my intent. But along the way, on the journey, I discovered that I truly enjoy working with people, showing people how to build their business. If they're willing, if that's what they want, I will work by them side by side and help them. And I feel like that may be the purpose. I think that along the way I found my purpose, and it feels really good when you're able to help somebody make a difference in their lives. So I skipped around a couple years, but
okay.
I guess really the point is really just to listen to your heart and trust, have that faith and that trust in your maker, and follow, and also know when to stop, when to go. That's what I'm going to say. When to stop, when to go. But first do your homework and do your consultations with your maker when you make these decisions, with everything actually, not just business. And also know that the most successful people in these businesses, they were probably just like you in the very beginning. So give it some thought, and don't be so quick to turn down an opportunity. Because what if I had turned down this? What if I just went on, and I honestly don't know what I would be doing with my life if I wasn't doing this. But Marcella, I love this platform that you have that gives women an opportunity to share what they do. and be a role model and be a voice for people, because I think that a lot of women or a lot of people can relate to this. I love this.
Well, thank you so much, Angelique. I first, of course, want to say thank you. And, I did the show because we do need to be a voice for so many reasons. People don't understand being a voice. It's not just about, um, just domestic violence or um, suicide, people who with suicide. It's for everything. I mean,
Yeah.
any and everything. Your walk with God, like you said, just you right now. There's so many people out here who are afraid to have a home-based business. Whether it's Avon, whether no matter what it is, because they
Right.
don't know how to talk to people. They're so afraid of rejection, and that's one thing that I think that a lot of people are so skeptical on, like rejection. So
Right.
social media, they may post things, and I wanted to ask you about that because some people may post things, and just because they don't get a like or something doesn't mean that that other person is not looking or not interested. Because I get a
Right.
lot of people, if I post something, and I don't post all the time because everybody knows I sell Avon, so it pretty
Right.
much sells itself. People, they come to my show, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess because I'm doing so much. And I'll be like, you don't want to go on the website? Absolutely not. I need you to order. I
They
have
want
some
that
orders
personal
now.
service, Marcella.
Yes, they do. And that's why and I'm not trying to be funny just because, I'm with Avon, but I love Avon because it has everything. I mean, everything. We have everything. Makeup, jewelry, clothes, shoes, you name it. And why not, when you have a business, you have to be able to promote yourself, and you have to not be afraid to talk to someone. But there's a lot of people who are, and they think that, you know with certain businesses out here, if you don't do anything about it, you're not going to make any money. Sometimes with a business, you don't sleep. Like I said before earlier, I could
I
call
do
you.
sleep.
I don't know when, because there were times I text you, you text me right back. I'm like, she's probably sleeping, but you would text me right back, and I know it was like 11 something at night, especially when I just started, and I know I was blowing you up, and you was just like text me right back, and I was telling my husband, I don't think she sleeps. I really don't think she sleeps.
but but we're an hour earlier than you, so it's not as late
Oh,
here.
okay. If that's what you want to say, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But let me tell you what. You had a goal, and you was on a you was working on a goal. And anybody that is working on a goal and they're very serious about what they're doing, they're going to get my attention. And so that was how that was. If you tell me that you want something, then I'm going to certainly help you to get it. If it
Yeah.
means 11 o'clock, then maybe I have to do an 11 o'clock, but um, it's okay. It's really okay. The point is that you reach your goal, and I might have missed an hour of sleep here and there, but it's okay, myself.
Well, I do apologize. I love you though, but
I
you have
still love you too.
you have taught me a lot, because I'm the type of person, when I set my mind to doing something, I don't let anyone stop me. I don't care what, even if it's at my job. I don't care what it is. And people don't know that about me. People that know me know how I am. So if somebody tell me I can't do something, or there's something and I don't have a lot going on, then and you say, okay, Marcella, in order to go to Bahamas, you need X amount of people, all these sales. And I was like, really? That's it? And you was like, that's it. I know you was like, who is this female? I mean, I, this is unheard of for her to come in. How many more people do I need? I need three more. Okay, I was like this. Hey, You want to join Avon? I mean, I was serious about it. I mean, I still am. I may not hustle as hard as I was before, but because of this new line that's coming up about this weight loss and all these
Yeah.
teas, I'm so super excited about that. And you best believe, watch and see, you're gonna be like, oh my God, here she come again, because stuff like that, it sells itself, and I get excited, especially when it's something new, because I'm like, I have to try it, you have to try it, we all have to try it. Let's do this weight loss together. Let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, I get excited about it, and so I made something else may lack at that time. Cause see, I got all these collaborations going on. I got some other upcoming collaborations. So I've been busy, and then I work full time, and I still got a family. So some things have gone back, but I'm about to have a little bit more free time. Hint, hint.
All right.
So I could I could jump back on that and still continue to do what I'm doing. I promise you that.
That's the beauty of a home-based business. I do have
Yes.
one quick story. I don't know if we have time, but I have a quick story
Yeah, go ahead.
about just what you said just now. I was in 2015. I was diagnosed with arthritis in my hip, and and I didn't know this. I had been walking around for 3 years in terrible, terrible pain, and it was just getting worse and worse, and I didn't know what it was, and they were saying it was a bulging disc, but then it was diagnosed that I had arthritis. I had osteoarthritis at the age of 47, and I needed to have 2 hip replacements. And so leading up to that time, probably 9 months out of the year of 2015, I rarely left the house except to do my sales at my retirement home and go on my Avon trips that I won, because I wasn't going to miss a trip whether I was in pain or not. I was not going to miss a trip. That was the only time I left the house in 9 months, and I was able to work the business from home. And my husband did help me a lot too, but the nice thing about having a home-based business is that you can control what you do when you do it. And in that 9 months that I didn't work, I think I grew my income that year by about, I don't know, $11,000.
Wow.
I didn't leave the house. So I'm telling people that this, and my dad years ago, he was a salesman. He was into sales, and he would say sales is the highest paid profession in the world, and you need to be in commission sales. And I told him he was crazy, but I still got into it. So I'm still here, but now I'm like, oh yeah, he was right. This does pay pretty good, but you got to keep it up. You got to keep going and not let the frustration get you down.
One thing about me, I don't like the word no. I don't like the word no. Somebody tell me no, I want to know why. Because I'm the type of person, even at work, whatever I could do to try to make it better, make you happy. I want you to be a satisfied customer all the way around, because I want to treat people the way I want to be treated, So if I go up to a person, and because I had one lady tell me one day, it was so funny. I walked up and I was like, yes, ma'am, do you like Avon? She was like, no. Or Mary Kay. I mean, she just immediately was just real nasty. No. I was like, oh, okay. I said, that's fine, ma'am. That's not a problem. I mean, this business, it sells itself. I just didn't know if you was interested in clothing. It's not just all about makeup. Then she stopped me. Wait a minute. Y'all have clothes. Y'all have this. Y'all have that. See, a lot of people, they don't realize, anything. And see, she's a customer of mine now, and she asked for a book. I gave her a book, and she was looking. She said, oh, and look at this. And then I gave her some samples, and I think that blue haku, everybody loves that blue haku, especially, I know some of the ladies are listening at work. They love that blue haku. And so she was just like, Yeah, when that time when we had a sale on that blue haku, she wanted two of them like ASAP, and she was just like, "That smells so good." But the thing about it is, a lot of people are gonna tell you no. They're gonna tell you no, but you have to be okay with it when they do. But learn how to find out what is it that they like, and then talk to them about, okay, well, if you like that, let me show you this, let me show you that. We have so many products, and I'm not just saying Avon, I'm just saying whatever business that you're rocking, and that you're doing, you have to be confident in what you're selling and what you're doing, because if you don't know what you're talking about when you're selling something, people are not going to buy it. I don't care what it is, they're not going to buy it. If I see something that I like or something that I'm selling, it's because I like it and I like it myself. So I'll be able to tell you a lot about it, and what it does, because, I use it myself. So I'm going to make it look good, smell good, and sound good all at the same time. So you have to be able to work your business and everything. And, Antrick, I appreciate you. I appreciate all that you're doing, helping women out here. Pray to God that a lot of people who, are in doubt of whatever businesses they're trying to do, they have learned some things from you on what to do. But you have to also know, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be consistent. Be consistent of what you're doing. I don't care what it is, who it is. Once again, like I said at the beginning, you are a child of God. Don't let nobody tell you what you can and cannot do. Do it. Don't be afraid to sometimes jump out on faith and just trust God. If you fail, then that means God is saying that's not for you. But don't get discouraged. Discouraged is one thing. That's something totally different. That don't mean you still can't do it. You're just discouraged because your mind is not ready for it. Like you said, you didn't want to do Avon at first. But look at you now. I mean, this is not what you wanted to do. But you turned around, you gave it to God, and he said, no, because you are my child, whatever your heart desires, he gave that to you. And he helped you build the business and the empire that you have now. You have so many people up under you. And, I mean, you motivate people all the time. You have meetings all the time. I mean, you love and you enjoy what you do. And I just want to thank you as well, Angelique, because not just because you're my mentor and not because I love you, but you are that true woman of God. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on the show with us tonight. I know we have another special guest, and I cannot wait to get her on in just a few minutes. But before we go, can you just share with everyone how they can reach you, your website, just any information that you want to close us out in?
Well, I thank you, Marcella, and I love you too, honey. And I'm appreciative of the opportunity to share. And I'm going to do something really crazy, or not crazy, but anybody out there that is interested in our business, myself and Marcella, y'all need to contact Marcella and be with her group, because she is a part of me. And if she's successful, I'm successful. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to tell you you know how to reach Marcella. Everybody knows how to reach you. You do. But just know that we can also answer any questions about any of this. And even if it's not Avon, we can help you with this. But I've enjoyed myself, and we've got to do this again when the Espira is launched, and be voice about our bodies and our self-esteem and improving ourselves. So
yes, that's very important. That's very important. And I was going to say I need to have you back on about that, because you know more about that, and that is very exciting. And I know a lot of women are going to want to know about these products and be a part of it, because we as women, we need to take good care of ourselves. We really do. So right. I appreciate you. We're about to go into break. Once again, I appreciate you coming on the show once again and being a voice for women who are afraid to speak, afraid to step out on faith. And you be blessed.
Thank you, Marcella. Love you.
Love you
Bye,
too.
guys. Bye.
And we're about to take a short break. And next, we have a very special guest coming shortly, Miss Melissa Holmes. Stay tuned.
Once again, baby dub, my block, deep trick, big move, Mary, 29 until you first, pastor the church, my folks and friends, listen to these words, see God save me from myself when no one else was around, and it was only by His grace, His mercy, His favor, 'cause I know I don't deserve all the love He showed me, how He let me know He never gonna leave my side.
Saved my soul when I was just a sinner left in the cold. Gave me a second chance, saved me from myself, came to my rescue when I needed help. You wanna know why I love Him like I do? 'Cause when my enemy said I was through, He took me from the bottom and put me on the top. He laid His hands on me, and now I can't be stopped.
With your host, Marcella Blunt. It was so exciting and so amazing to have Angelique back. I really enjoyed her. Thank you so much for being on the show. Now I'm just super excited. I'm super excited about this special guest, Miss Melissa Holmes. She is a domestic violence survivor who cheated death twice. She is an educator, an advocate, an author, but most importantly, she's a mom. And I would love for you all to welcome a powerful, wonderful woman of God, Miss Melissa Holmes. Are you here with us, Miss Melissa?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Getting over a cold, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Well, I pray and hope that you have a speedy recovery on your cold, because there's nothing like having a cold and being under the weather because you just don't feel 100%, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm super excited having you on Be a Voice Radio, because this subject here is one of the main topics that I do like to talk about, because there's so many women that's dealing with domestic violence. now, every second, every day of the hour, and it's something that we all need to be a voice for. And it's I thank the Lord for you being a survivor twice and being able to come on the show so that others can hear people that who are going through right now or who have gone through. And, please just share your story with us so that we could get a better understanding on who you are and why you decided to become a voice. Because there's a lot of people who are silent and afraid to talk.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I suffered two domestic violence relationships, two consecutive. So they were back to back. So I wasn't completely healed from the first one. Well, I'm not going to say I wasn't healed, but I had did the necessary work and I went to counseling, and I thought I was strong enough to get back out into the dating scene, and lo and behold, the next relationship I decided to give a chance was also another abusive relationship. My first abuser, though, which was my husband, we had dated for 5.5 years before we had even gotten married. And he was the perfect gentleman. I mean, he was family-oriented. He had worked 2 jobs. I mean, the perfect gentleman. As long as we were dating, he had never displayed any signs of aggression. I mean, he would drink to be sociable if we went out, but he didn't do any drugs or anything. So as long as we were dating, everything was cool. But the minute my last name changed to Holmes, this man had become someone that I did not know, or I did not know for the last 5.5 years that we had dated. Very shortly after we had gotten married, I started to feel like I was sleeping with the enemy. And I was like, things after 2 years, we're still newlyweds and we're still supposed to be in that honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase had died. And so we were like he was more less, he had started to show his true colors. And when I say that, I mean he had started to display things that I had never seen when we were dating. So he had started to become real obsessive and real possessive and want to know my every move. Like, this man literally would clock the time that I should be at home, arrive home. Like, he knew what time the bus would pick me up at the bus stop when I would leave work. He knew how long it took for the bus to get from that destination to my destination, my bus stop where I should get off. And if, he never considered, something may go wrong or something, but if I was like a minute or two late from what he thought I should be there was always an argument. There was always, he would nitpick and he would do this. And, things had just gotten crazy and I just could not deal with it. But growing up in my house as a child, we were always taught what happens in your house stays in your house. Nobody is supposed to know. The sister next door, the brother upstairs. So for that reason alone was one of the reasons I suffered in silence with in that relationship. Although people knew that I was in that relationship, but because my mother had such high expectations, I would say, of what she thought I should do and what I should not do, and not to be a disappointment to her, I put her feelings ahead of my own. And so when it got to the point that I was like, listen, okay, she doesn't have to stay here. She doesn't know what's going on here in the house. Although we lived in the same building, once we got married, we had moved in the same building into a bigger apartment right over my mother. And so there was a lot of times that he would come home from work. He worked in a 2-fare zone. And if I'm home, I work a 9 to 5. So a lot of times we would miss each other because he would work like graveyard shifts. And here I'm working a regular 9 to 5. So when I get off at 5 o'clock, a lot of times he's already gone. And then sometimes he's doing doubles. So I'm there with the kids all the time. Like I would have to pick the kids up. The kids would come to my mother's after school, and I would go there and pick them up. So I'm with them the majority of the time. And so, things had just started getting out of control. I would cook, and if I knew he was coming home, I would fix him a plate and take it and put it in the microwave. And then, I would put the rest of the food up after myself and the kids have already eaten, and then that was a problem. Like, he would come in and literally, wake me up out of my sleep knowing that I have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work. He wants to come in about 1 o'clock. He wants to keep me up arguing until about 3 just because I left his food in the microwave, when all he had to do was just come in, press the timer on the microwave and heat his food up. And it was always seemed to, be a problem. And so I had decided that, enough was enough. I couldn't take it anymore. I was extremely depressed, and I couldn't. And so I decided that with no place to go, I decided that I was going to leave. And I had taken my daughter with me, which is not his child. I had a son from him, and I believe my son at the time was probably about 3 or 4 years old. And my intentions was, when he left to go to work, I was going to take the kids, but he had taken my son to work with him to keep me from getting him. So I made the conscious decision to still leave anyway with my daughter, and I was going to come back the next day after work and get my son. But it didn't work like that, because what happened was he left his job and went straight down to the courts and told the courts I abandoned my son. And so he went and he started the process of having me served with papers at my job. So his friend would come one day and he would have me served with an order of protection to stay away from him and my son. And then the next day, a couple of days after that, then he had another friend that would come serve me with papers. Now he was trying to take me for child support. And then it just he just blow after blow. So when I left, I didn't have anywhere to go. And so because I was working in a doctor's office, I would wait for the doctors to leave in the evening, and I would go back into the office with my daughter, and we would sleep in the office. I would get up in the morning, get her off to school. I would go around the corner to the diner, and I would sit there till 9 o'clock. And then I would come back into the office like I was just arriving to work. I did that for 6 months until I was able to find an apartment. In the meantime, when we finally did go to court, they ended up giving him temporarily custody of my son, because they say I did not have a steady place to stay. So they told me, had told me by the next court date I needed to come in, and I needed to tell them, give them an address that I had found the place, and I would have been able to get my son. But because I opted out in giving them an address, because he had started threatening me and he had started stalking me, I didn't want him to be able to get the address to the place that I had just rented. And so when we went back to court, I told them that I did not have a place to stay. And they ended up letting him keep temporarily custody of my son until I was able to find a place. And so we ended up having to go back to court, and I remember we went to court, and when they called us into the room this time, and I heard the judge say that he will remain with custody, I fell on the floor on my knees, down at this man's feet, begging him, please don't take my son away from me. And he looked down at me like I was nothing and yanked his leg away from me with this grin on his face. And he walked out of the courtroom. And I remember I sat there in that courtroom The court officer had to escort me outside, and I sat there in that courthouse for about an hour and a half, and I had made myself sick, and I was just crying, and I was throwing up in the garbage can because I was so sure that I was going to get my son back that day, that my daughter kept asking, when is her brother going to come? And here I had this child that was with me, excuse me, that was wanting to know where her brother was and when he was going to come back and be with us. And I now had to find the strength to go back and tell her that her brother wasn't coming home. He started with the threats, and I'll never forget this day. He kept telling me that he was going to have me killed. He said he wouldn't do it, but he would have somebody else to do it because he would never want to get his hands dirty. May 7th, 2013. 2 o'clock that afternoon, he had called me at work, and he had said to me, today is your day. I promise you, when you leave work, you will not make it back to work tomorrow. And this time, not that I didn't believe him any other time when he had said this to me, but it was something in his voice that day that I had never heard. And I knew that was, my time was up. And I remember when I got off that phone, I was shaking in my office. My hands were shaking. I was shaking. And I remember I took a piece of paper that was on my desk, and I wrote down his name, the address to the apartment that we once shared, the telephone number, and his social security number. And I took and I folded up and I put it in an envelope and I sealed it up. And I remember calling the receptionist to my office saying to her, if I don't make it to work tomorrow, you ought to take this envelope and give it to the police, because that means my husband had me killed. And I made her promise that she was going to do that, because even if he had killed me, I did not want him to get away with what he had done. And she promised me. And I remember 5 o'clock, and it's time for me to clock out. And I get to the front door, and all I can do is just drop my head. Because I had always told him, if you're going to have me killed, the only thing I ask is that you don't have me killed in front of my kids. Have them to catch me when I'm coming out from work, because I never want to see it coming, because I never want to have a chance to defend myself. I just want it to be done and over with. And so when I got to the front door that day at 5 o'clock, I dropped my head, because in my head, I just knew everything I had said to him, whoever he was going to send to kill me was going to be behind me. And I was so focused that I was going to look straight ahead. I was going straight ahead. I was going straight to the train station, headed uptown to get my daughter. I was not going to look behind me because I didn't want to see it coming. I walked out that door and made it all the way to the train station, and nothing happened. And I started up the train steps, and my phone rung. And it was my son calling me to say, Ma, Daddy is having an asthma attack. And I said to him, hang up the phone and call 911. I went on up to the train. My phone rings again. It's my mom. She's calling. Now, I hadn't spoken to my mom in about a year since I had been gone, because she had taken the side of this man that was just married into the family. When the phone rang and I heard her voice and I heard her say, where are you? And I said, I'm on my way to get Yasmin from school. And she says to me, I need you to meet me up at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. And I said to her, for what? Are you sick? She says, I just need you to meet me up at the hospital. I hung up the phone. I told her, I said, I'll think about it. I got on train and went on uptown to get my daughter. And when I get off the train, I'm in front of my daughter's school, and my phone rings again. Now, I'm wondering why my mother is so persistent, and she's keep calling me and calling me and calling me. And I was like, she was like, are you on your way? And I was like, no, like, what? Why you keep calling me? I'm telling you, I need you to meet me up at the hospital. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Excuse me. So the apartment that I had just gotten, I went all the way to the Bronx, to my apartment, took off my scrubs. I took my time, took off my scrubs, put on some jeans and my Timbs, and my daughter changed her clothes, and my phone rings again, and it's my mom. Now I'm getting aggravated, and I said, I'm on my way. And I walk up to the Grand Concourse, and I flag a cab, and my daughter and I get in the cab, and I pull up to the emergency room. When I get there, I see my mother and my oldest sister standing in the emergency room. Before I got a chance to sit down, this woman comes from the back, and she says, "Where's the Holmes party?" And I says, "Right here." So she says, "Well, who is this?" I said, "This is my mother, my sister, and my daughter." She said, "I need you all to come with me to the back." And at that moment, I said, "Are you taking me back here to tell me my husband died?" He had died of an asthma attack. He called me at 2 and 6 o'clock. He had died the same day.
Jesus.
So the grave he dug for me, he put his own self in it.
Mhm. Careful what
and so, I stayed single for about 3 years, and I did the counseling, and I did this, and like I said, thought I was strong enough. And the next relationship, I decided to give a chance. I was moving into this new apartment. I had hired this moving company. This guy had worked for this moving company. He was the driver. At some point, we had exchanged numbers. He came, he took me out. Another perfect gentleman. Never seen any signs of aggression, nothing. So we started dating. And 2 years after we had started dating, I realized he was another nut job. I had gotten pregnant, and it resulted in a miscarriage. And so what I thought was going to bring us closer together, because I'm saying, okay, well, I lost the baby too. And I thought it was tearing us apart, because he actually was blaming me for not being able to carry the baby full term. So a couple of months after that, I get pregnant again, which also resulted in another miscarriage. I go to the doctor. The doctor says I had a fibroid uterus. That's what was growing with the pregnancy. So they were growing with the pregnancy, so they were pushing the pregnancy out. So the doctor said, if you're absolutely sure you don't want any more kids or whatever, we can give you a hysterectomy. I made the conscious decision right then, I'm done. Because he had already started showing I was not going to be tied to this man the rest of my life. So I made the conscious decision to have a hysterectomy. Well, lo and behold, I decided that I was moving, and I was, New York had too many bad memories for me. I needed a fresh start. I wanted to go to a place that I didn't know anyone, no one knew me, and just meet new people or what have you. And so I decided that I was moving to Baltimore. So me and my son, my daughter was old enough. She stayed here. She had a family of her own. She had gotten married, and she was pregnant with my first grandson. And so I'm up and I moved to Baltimore. And his thing was he was supposed to take me to Baltimore. He was supposed to set me up because he didn't want to be in Baltimore. And he was coming back to New York. But he gets to Baltimore and decide that day that he moved me that he wanted to stay. We get to Baltimore. Everything was fine for the first 2 years. The third year we was in Baltimore, it started with the verbal abuse. He just thought that he was, women are to be seen and not heard. And if you walk the street with him, he was a womanizer. If you walk the street and the man is coming in the opposite direction, he felt like you should not give him the person eye contact. How am I not supposed to see somebody coming in the opposite direction? So he would want me to hold my head. See, my mouth is too reckless for that. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to get power, and I refused to give it to him. So every time he had something to say, I had something to come back and had to say too. So a lot of times we would physically get into fights, and I had said to him, listen, there's nothing that you can do to me because my husband has already prepared me for anybody else that come after him that was just like him. So you can't say or do anything to me that I am not prepared for. And so we would get into it. And then the straw that broke the camel's back, where it really, really went south, he hit me the day before my birthday in 2009 in the street and fractured my nose. And I bought my birthday in the emergency room at the hospital. All because he was jealous of a neighborhood guy that was in a wheelchair. He had forbidden me to speak to the guy. I had gone to the store, and he was upstairs. And I went to the store to get a gallon of water. When I'm coming out the store, who is trying to come in the store? The guy in the wheelchair. So as I'm coming out, the guy holds the door for me so that I can come out. I, in turn, held the door for him so he can wheel himself in. And so all I said was, thank you. I let the door go. He went on in the store. Soon as I turned the corner, me not knowing that he had come downstairs, without warning, he had hit me in the bridge of my nose, hit me so hard, I flew into the front of a parked Jeep. The bag broke, the water went, and I was like, after that, I called the police for myself. My birthday is in July. Streets full of people. Nobody did anything. Nobody came to help. Nobody tried to prevent anything that was going on. But then we were in Baltimore, and, you know, he tried to just kill me it'll be 7 years, 2008. It'll be 7 years I've been back in New York. He tried to kill me in Baltimore. He choked me, and within seconds, I was in the bathroom. He had come home and had started arguing. I don't even remember what the argument was about. And he had come in, and I remember saying to him, you know, why don't you, like, go upstairs and just, like, sleep it off? Like, I just didn't want to hear it. Like, I was fed up. I was done. And so I went into the bathroom, locked the bathroom, to get away from all the bip, 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 bip. And he is standing at the bathroom door. He's shaking the door, and he's saying, just open the door. I just want to talk to you. And I'm saying, are you crazy? Because I know what's going to happen if I open that door. So now, before I knew it, I'm sitting on the toilet, and within seconds, he kicks the door, and he launches at me, has my head held back with his thumbprint pressed up against my windpipe, and I can't breathe. And I'm reaching up at his face, trying to scratch his face, and tears are coming down uncontrollably because he's pressing so hard on my throat, and I can't breathe. And I'm grabbing it, and he's looking me in my face as he's choking me, telling me he will kill me right here and right now. He will sit here in the house with my body until my son comes home, just so he can see the expression on my son's face when he finds my body.
Oh, Jesus.
Then for some reason, he let me go. He walked out the bathroom, and he was pressing so hard, I had started to lose bodily fluids. Like, I had started I had started to lose some bodily fluids, and he just let me go. He got up, he walked out the bathroom like nothing had happened. And I closed that bathroom door, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and when I didn't recognize myself in the mirror, the reflection that was looking back at me, that was a problem for me. I knew right then and there I was in another fight for my life. Jesus. And I was determined it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be him. And at that moment, I decided that I was leaving Baltimore and I was coming back to New York. I didn't know how I was going to get back here because I don't drive. I needed somebody that was going to come down to Baltimore, do me a solid, and come and get me and my son and bring us back to New York and put my stuff in storage. Now, with all of this going on, I still hadn't said anything to my family, especially my mother, because when I tried to tell them about my husband, nobody believed me. So they made it real easy for me to keep the second one, which almost tried to kill me too. And so just 7 years ago, he came in once again after he choked me, and he came in, and I'm in the kitchen, and I remember him standing behind me, and I'm cutting up a whole chicken, and I had just got finished washing the butcher knife, and I put it over in the dryer. And he come up behind me, and I took the butcher knife, and I put it up in front of me. He was trying to call my bluff, and I'm trying to call his bluff, and he thought that if he flinched, that he was going to make me jump. And I didn't move, and he jumped right on the knife.
Oh.
And when he jumped on the knife, I took that opportunity, grabbed my suitcase that I had never unpacked. I grabbed my keys. I grabbed my coat. I grabbed and took and pulled the phone out the wall so he couldn't make no phone calls to call for help. I went running down the streets of Baltimore and went and hid in Johns Hopkins Hospital woman's bathroom. Called my son and told him, you need to leave the after-school program and meet me up here at the hospital because we need to get the last bus from Baltimore back to New York. The last bus was at 8 o'clock. When my son got there, we got a cab. We pulled up to the bus station at exactly 7:55, enough time for me to run in there and get. When I turned around, the bus was pulling up, and I never went back and looked back ever again.
Melissa, this
Yes.
is, oh my God, Jesus Christ. I know we're getting close to the end, and I'm going to have to bring you back on because this right here is something that people are going through every day, and I'm so sorry that you went through what you went through. So many women are living in silence right now today, and they're afraid to leave, and they have children, and the children are seeing this, and people in society are thinking this is okay and it's normal, and it's not. Absolutely none of it is normal. And it ticks me off that a man is such a coward. I call men that put their hands on women a coward. They are cowards. They won't fight a man like that, but they're so quick to jump in a woman's face to try to intimidate them. We're going to have to, I'm going to bring you back on the show. We're going to, this type of stuff gets me so amped up, and I know we're at closing time. And I just want to, I want to thank you, but we are going to resume this. I will bring you back next week just so that we can finish this up because this is something that I need people to pay attention to and to be a voice so it doesn't happen to your sons and your daughters out here. This is something very serious. And I just want to give this number, leave this number with people. This is Domestic Violence Hotline. I need you to write it down if you're going through this. You know, you can call in anonymous. It's 877-534-6712. It's very important. Talk to somebody and get the help. They have escape plans to help you. Get away from these men. They're cowards. They're not even men. I don't know who raised them, but God did not create you or design you to tolerate this abuse. Thank you so much, Melissa. I promise you I will have you back on, okay, next week. Everyone, please, tune in next week, next Friday, this right here. We must talk about this. We have to be a voice for this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Melissa.
You're welcome.
I'm your host, Marcella Blunt, and tune in next Friday, same time, 8 o'clock. Have a blessed night.